Welcome to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. I'm your host, Ross Rolfe, the Anxiety Coach, here to help you conquer anxiety and build a calm, confident life. In each episode, we'll explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you take control of anxiety and live life on your terms. Without further ado, let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. If you're listening to this episode and thinking, I understand anxiety, I've learned so much, I'm doing the breathing, I'm trying my best, but you still feel stuck, then this episode is for you. Because today I want to talk about something that almost nobody explains in anxiety recovery. And that is why it can feel like you're doing everything right, yet anxiety is still showing up. And I want to say this early on, feeling stuck doesn't mean that you're failing. In most cases, it simply means you're trying too hard in the wrong direction. And I want to start by normalizing something here. If you're actively listening to podcasts like this, reading about anxiety, watching videos, trying tools, and working on yourself, you are not someone who isn't trying. You're someone who cares deeply about getting better, and that matters. So give yourself a pat on the back for that. But anxiety recovery is one of those areas in life where effort alone doesn't always equal progress. And one of the biggest frustrations people have is the thought, I know anxiety isn't dangerous, so why does it still feel like it is? And that question comes up again and again. And the answer is simple, but it is uncomfortable. Your nervous system doesn't change through understanding. It changes through experience. And most people approach anxiety recovery like an epidemic. What word have I made up there? What was I going to say? Academic. I've literally lost my words here. I'm going to keep this in because it's funny, but academic. So people approach anxiety recovery like it's an academic subject. And it's kind of like they collect information and they learn the theory, right? But they understand what's happening in your body. And then that knowledge is helpful, but knowledge alone doesn't teach your nervous system it's safe. And I know people have that saying like, knowledge is power, right? I've heard this loads of times throughout my life. Yeah, knowledge is power. But it's actually not if you don't do anything with it, because knowledge is just knowledge. There has to be action. And this is kind of the same with anxiety. So if you have knowledge about what it is and that you know about the nervous system, that doesn't just mean that it's going to stop, right? Because the nervous system isn't logical, it's experiential. And here's an analogy that will hopefully really help you. So imagine you've never swum before. You read everything about swimming, you understand about buoyancy, how your breathing works, you watch videos of people swimming, but every time you get in the pool, you just cling to the side, right? Your brain could understand swimming, but your body wouldn't because it's never done it. And anxiety recovery works in that same way. There's another reason why people feel stuck, and this is because they measure their progress the wrong way. So most people track recovery by asking, how anxious do I feel today? How many symptoms do I feel? Am I calmer than yesterday? And when anxiety is still there, they think, I'm not getting any better. But that's not how progress with anxiety works. The real question isn't how anxious do I feel? It's how am I supposed to respond? I'm trying to think the best way of saying this, actually. So, yeah, it's like how am I responding when anxiety shows up? Are you still doing life while you're anxious? Are you staying inside instead of escaping? Are you allowing sensations instead of fighting them? Are you recovering quicker after a wobble? Those are like the real signs of when you're making progress, but they are subtle, especially when you first start doing it. And actually, also towards the end, because it's very easy if you've been going through like a long period of getting over anxiety, you might be having support, accountability for it. Sometimes it's very easy to forget where you actually started from. And you might have made so much progress that at the end of it, you're thinking, oh, yeah, I'm still feeling a bit anxious, but it's not that bad. But I don't feel I've got over it. Well, it does take time. But there's also the fact that if you have been improving over a longer period, you've probably forgotten how bad it was. And there's another trap I see all the time, and that's like the hidden pressure to feel better. People don't always realize this, that the pressure's there, but it shows up with thoughts like, I should feel calmer by now. Why am I still anxious? This shouldn't be happening. And that pressure tells the nervous system one thing, that something is wrong. And when your nervous system senses pressure, urgency, or judgment, it stays alert. So the very act of trying to feel better keeps the system activated. And I want to say something clearly here, actually. Calmness or being calm cannot be forced. Safety cannot be forced. And anxiety doesn't respond well to deadlines. So if you're saying like, oh, I have to be better by next week, like, give yourself a chance. Be realistic. That's not going to happen. The nervous system learns at its own pace. And the big shift happens when you stop making calm the goal. Because when calm becomes the goal, anxiety becomes the enemy. And when anxiety is the enemy, every sensation feels like it's a setback or you're not making progress. But that's not the case. It creates like a constant battle inside your body. Recovery starts when the battle stops. So when you stop resisting it, that acceptance of the fact that anxiety is part of life, it's part of you, it's part of everyone. Here's the reframe, though, that changes everything. Progress in anxiety recovery is not about feeling different. It's about responding differently. And you can feel anxious and still be progressing. You can have symptoms and still be healing. And you can have bad days and still be moving forward. Let me give you some real examples of this. So progress looks like going to the shop, even though your heart is absolutely racing. Staying in conversation with someone instead of escaping. Letting dizziness be there without checking it constantly. Having a wobble and recovering just that little bit quicker than last time. Not reviewing the day for hours afterwards, so constantly ruminating about it. None of that feels dramatic, but it is actually huge. Now, there's another reason why people feel stuck, and it's because they expect recovery to feel like relief. But recovery often feels like uncertainty. And as we know, anxiety is essentially a bit of a form of uncertainty, really, isn't it? It feels like doing things without guarantees. It feels like allowing sensations without that immediate payoff. And that can feel worse because it often feels worse before it feels better. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's working. And I want to speak directly now to the person thinking, I should be further along by now. That thought is one of the biggest recovery blockers because it keeps you comparing your nervous system to an imaginary timeline. Yet realistically, there is no correct pace. Anxiety recovery is not linear. It moves forward. It then goes sideways a bit, back a bit, all kinds of different ways. And then it might go forward. You might get a bit better. And then it might feel like you've gone back again, but that doesn't mean you're failing. It means your nervous system is learning. And here's something I wish everyone understood. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need big breakthroughs. You need small repetitions, gentle exposures, softened responses. choosing normal actions again and again and again and again. That's how safety is relearned. If you're listening to this and feeling discouraged, I want you to hear this. If anxiety still shows up, it doesn't mean you're broken. If progress feels slow, it doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. I hear this so often. It is not the case at all. I get so many messages about this. And if you're tired, it doesn't mean you can't recover. But I can tell you with 100% certainty what it does mean. It means that you're human. It means that you are human. Now, let's bring this into something practical that you can take away from this episode. For the next week, I want you to stop asking, am I anxious? And start asking instead, how did I respond? Did I stay a little longer? Did I soften a safety behavior? Did I allow discomfort instead of reacting? Those are wins. Even if anxiety was loud, another simple shift is that when anxiety shows up, instead of asking, how do I make this stop? Try asking, what would I do right now if anxiety wasn't in charge? So again, when it shows up, instead of sounding desperate, like you really need it to stop and you're fighting against it, try asking, what would I do right now if anxiety wasn't in charge? And then do a small version of that, or do exactly what that, if you can really bring yourself to do it. And that will make even more progress than you would ever believe, because you'll be building evidence that you are stronger than anxiety. And if that question gently returns, control it, but don't force it. Again, if you start forcing against that anxiety, it will fight back. Don't fight it. Acceptance. I also want to say this. You do not need to be fearless, though. Some people think you have to be absolutely fearless and try and absolutely everything to recover. That's not the case. There's a time and a place for exposure therapy and doing the things that make you feel anxious, but you don't have to do them all out and go all in, if you're scared of heights and any kind of height thing is causing you to have a really bad panic attack, that doesn't mean you just have to go and jump off, some cliff or something, doing a bungee jump. Yeah, there's different levels of things you can do to gradually expose yourself to get through it. But we're going to that in another episode, another time. All you need is to be willing to feel, willing to stay, willing to try again tomorrow. That's enough. If this episode resonates with you, it's because you're already on the path, even if it doesn't feel like it. Because you are on the path, because if you're listening to this, you are committed that you're going to beat your anxiety. And I believe in you. If you're listening to this, you are going to beat it. If you want to continue this work with support, you're welcome to join my free community, the Anxiety Relief Hub, and that's a group over on Facebook. You can also download my free ebook, the Anxiety Relief Roadmap, and that walks you through the process in a calm, structured way. If you found this episode helpful, please follow the podcast and leave a rating. It's a really new podcast at the time I'm recording this. So every rating, every listen counts. And the more people that listen, the more I can put into this, the more time, money, effort to make it as helpful and valuable to you as is possible. And it really helps me get it out, and it helps it reach people. So please, if you listen to this and you feel someone else that this would help, please share it, send it on to them. But please, just do that. If there's someone it will help, send it to them, because you might make that difference to helping them get over their anxiety and ultimately change their life. So I want to end on this. You are not failing, you're learning. And that matters more than you think. I believe in every single one of you. You've got this. And I'll speak to you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to the Anxiety Relief Podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling a little more calm, confident, and in control. Remember, small steps every day can lead to a big transformation in your life. If you found this episode helpful, please don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who you think might benefit. For more tools and resources, head over to my website at www.rossrolf.com. And don't forget to join the Anxiety Relief Hub on Facebook, which is a supportive community where you can connect, share, and grow. Until next time.